Unlike other groups of birds, pelagic birds are extremely hard to observe. So, can participatory science help in understanding the occurrence of rare pelagic birds? Hi, I'm Paul, and today I'll try to answer that question using the case study of the Christmas Island frigate, that's Frigate Andrews in South Asia. Participatory science platforms such as eBird has been useful in understanding the distribution, abundance, phenology, and various other traits of birds for common as well as rather uncommon species. Shown here are some such recent studies. However, can such platforms be useful for understanding the occurrence of very rare species in a given region over time? A recently published study in Indian birds has looked into the status of the Christmas Island frigate bird in South Asia with the help of all available sources, including the participatory science platform eBird. The study originated as a result of my sighting of a very strange bird almost 1.5 years back. The waves were forceful and the skies were completely overcast. It was getting really dark, and I thought I wouldn't find any birds whatsoever. But out of the blue, or grey rather, I see this almost completely black bird with scissors for tails circling slightly above the casuarina trees. Of the 5 species of frigate birds around the world that occur in the tropical oceans, 3 occur in the Indian Ocean and South Asia. My observation was that of a Christmas Island frigate bird. Then there are the great frigate bird and lesser frigate bird. Throughout most of South Asia, frigate bird species is a rare occurrence, although lesser and great frigate bird occur regularly in the remote southwestern archipelagos of South Asia, and both species breed in the Chagos archipelago. With a global population of around 2,500 to 5,000 mature individuals and declining that breeds only in the Christmas Island part of Australia, it is a vulnerable species both internationally and in its only natural rate state, that is Australia. As the most endangered species in its small and distinctive family, it is also a priority ranked edge species, that is evolutionary distinct and globally endangered species. The objectives of the current study was one, to assess the validity of published records of Christmas Island frigate bird from South Asia, and by published we mean peer-reviewed publications. Two, to collate and summarize all unpublished records of Christmas Island frigate birds from South Asia. Three, to document the characters we have used to distinguish each Christmas Island frigate bird record from the other frigate bird species by using photographs. Four, to map the distribution of records of the species. Five, to assess the status of the species in South Asia. To collect the data, we used a variety of techniques. One, we searched the online bibliography of South Asian ornithology using the keyword Frigate Andrews. Two, we accessed all frigate bird sightings from South Asia recorded in an eBird checklist to find ones which could be Christmas Island frigate bird records. Three, we actively searched for records in various Facebook forums using combination of keywords such as Christmas Island frigate bird or frigata, followed by names of the appropriate places like India and Sri Lanka and all the coastal states or provinces. Four, we reviewed our own archive records from various places. We endeavored to correspond with at least one author, photographer, or observer for each record. You can have a look at the paper for extensive identification keys that has been developed by David James used for the identification of the frigate bird species. A total of 22 records of the species was found from South Asia, 13 of which were not previously formally published, and all of them were from either India or Sri Lanka and no other country. The earliest confirmed sighting was from 2008 and the latest sighting was from December 2024. 12 records were from India and 10 from Sri Lanka. The Indian records came from 6 states and 11 districts, while the Sri Lankan records came from 4 provinces and 5 districts. Almost two-thirds of the records of the Christmas Island frigate birds from South Asia came from just 2 years, approximately 41% in 2024 and approximately 23% in 2014. 15 out of the 22 unique confirmed records of the Christmas Island frigate birds in South Asia was first published in eBird, underpinning how important eBird is for monitoring very rare pelagic birds such as the Christmas Island frigate bird. 2 additional records were added to eBird after a peer-reviewed publication from proxy accounts, as this is a good practice so that all the records are in one place. But eBird alone is not sufficient to get the whole picture. It needs to be combined with surveilling and combing through more informal and unintended participatory science platforms, if you can call it that, such as WhatsApp and Facebook groups. A good amount of time needs to be invested in following up with the observers to procure more details so as to verify the validity and metadata of the sightings, as well as additional information that might be missing from the checklist. This could include the exact time of the sighting of the species as well as the duration of the sighting of the species, and it could include additional information such as the health of the species and whether the individual was being harassed by any other species. In our current study, it was found that barring two cases where the birds were found to be injured or exhausted, all other records involved apparently healthy individuals. One piece of information that was available even in some of the checklists were that of the harassment behavior of other species on the Christmas Island frigate bird or frigate birds in general. This is important because harassment of frigate birds has not been widely discussed in literature. It is found that Brahminy kite, black kite, red wattle lapwing, and crows were involved in the harassment behavior. It it is to be noted that such studies require an overwhelming amount of communication. For example, in the study, it required over 900 emails just to verify all the information and gain additional information that would be useful for future researchers. So it is important that eBird checklist itself contains all or most of these information, so it makes scientific research more easy. In this case, the Christmas Island frigate bird is shown to be higher in number compared to the great frigate bird, but this is not true, as the number of unique observations for both the species will be around the same. The large number of cipher sightings in India is largely due to a observation in Mumbai where the same individuals were sighted on multiple days by multiple human observers. Patagonia picnic table effect is a social feedback loop where rarity discoveries are presumed to lead to additional rarity discoveries because of the elevated birder activity once an initial rarity is reported. Although this found no support in the USA, this can be a good way to have more people on the ground creating checklists, especially during a season which has less birder activity, that is the monsoon, which is when the frigate bird activity is the highest. The dearth of information from the eastern coast of both India and Sri Lanka should be fought with the public participation in science. Thank you for listening.